said, but wait, there's more. I said, Newton had the imposter syndrome. He said, you're kidding me. Newton, he was like, because Newton was kind of a prick. Newton had a huge ego. He was not kind to his friends. He tortured people as the master of the mint, or he had them tortured.
Tortured people?
Yeah, he was
physically tortured people?
Yeah, I mean, he not him.
Push that microphone so it's like in your face.
Okay, yeah.
There you go, like that.
Yeah, you'd think a podcaster.
He tortured people?
He was responsible. He was like he was responsible for the equivalent of the IRS in England. So people would cheat. They would scrape down pennies.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've read this.
He was the master of the mint, it was called.
Yeah, that's right.
He was also
about this.
An alchemist. He was an amazing guy, but he was kind of a prick.
And he had imposter syndrome as well.
So he had imposter syndrome. Now, who could he have imposter syndrome about? You might wonder. And if you read his writings, do you know what Isaac Newton, the creator of calculus, the first person to understand universal gravitation, discovered laws of optics, do you know what his biggest accomplishment, according to him, was?
What?
He died a virgin.
Yeah, that was a weird one, right? Yeah,
Yes.
I was going to bring that up. He was celibate.
You know why?
Why?
Because there's only one way that he could emulate his hero, the person before whom he felt the imposter syndrome. And who was that? That was Jesus Christ.
Oh, boy.
So he wanted to be Christ-like. He wanted to emulate Christ. And the only way he could do it, he couldn't fast, or I don't know, he couldn't walk on water. He couldn't turn water into wine. He couldn't turn loaves into fishes or whatever Jesus also did. But he could die celibate. And that's who he had imposter syndrome. But the lesson is...
But is this from his writing that he spoke of this?
Yeah.
Are you sure he just was like an excuse for he didn't like sex?
I don't know.
I mean, it sounds nutty. Because how do you figure that out when you're
guy.
14, 15 years old? You know, you're young and full of hormones, and you've made this decision to be like Jesus.
Yeah. No, it's he was a strange guy.
He sounds insane.
He definitely was. He was not like Galileo. You would want to hang out with Galileo if you met Galileo.
I probably want to hang out with him too.
Yeah, no,
for a little bit, just to see what it's like.
So when you win the Nobel Prize, you go there, and what is the commandment about idol worship? It's that you shall make no gilded, golden, graven, like engraved images. So who is that? Do you know who that is?
Albert Nobel?
Yeah, it's Alfred Nobel. That's right.
Alfred.
And he invented dynamite, and he also died. He died never having been married. I don't know if he was celibate or
Holla.
So he was never married. But he established this prize. When you win it, you literally, the king of Sweden comes up to you, and you must bow down to him. And he puts the gilded graven image on your head. So for all the trappings and all the 90% of National Academy members who do not actively profess a belief in God, this can become at some level a religion. And it's a kosher one. It's okay to worship this, right?
Well, the unattainable that's maybe perhaps attainable to a very select few is always the thing that people are chasing after, especially like high achievers.
That's right.
But many that I know that get there do have imposter syndrome, including MMA world champions. Like some of them, they get there like, this isn't real. This can't be real. I can't be the man.
Because they've set this up their whole life. And also, look, you can get to the promised land, but you can't stay in it. How many baseball teams have won the World Series year after year forever? I mean, even the Yankees haven't done that. Even your Bo Sox haven't done that, right?
They're not mine.
Okay, fine. But for me as a young kid, this is what I aspired. And actually, as an adult, I wanted to win this basically at all costs. This became but it was acceptable because people told me, if you discover these waves of gravity manifest in the cosmic background radiation that I study, you're guaranteed to win the Nobel Prize. And for me, it was, I don't know about you with your, relations with your father, but I had a very difficult relationship with my father. And in it was really predicated the way that some kids would get into fights or, with their father, or maybe they would try to be a better football player than their dad or whatever. My father was a great scientist and mathematician. And the one prize he never won was the Nobel Prize. And so after he abandoned us, this became kind of the way that I could supersede him. And it became an obsession to me, as well as being scientifically interesting to be a part of. There are very few projects that are eligible to win a Nobel Prize, let alone that can win it. But for me, it was kind of an added dimension that came with it. And that was, like the normal kid might have it with sports and their dad, or maybe the other way around when you're a dad, you might treat your kids like that. Like, oh, you think you could take me on or whatever. And so for that was the main source of driving impetus for my personal quest to get this particular idol in my life.
That's wild. Are you aware of Ronald Mallet? Do you know who he is?
No.
He is, I believe he's out of the University of Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
He studies time travel, and he became obsessed with time travel after his father died when he was a young boy, because he felt like if he worked hard enough, he could develop a time machine and go back and save his father.
No.
It's wild. It's literally a Spider-Man origin
That's
story.
Exactly.
But this guy has been dedicated his life to finding a working model of a time machine. And I think, was it Kurt Gödel? Like, how do you say his name?
Gödel, yeah.
Gödel.
Mm-hmm.
It's that weird umlaut.
Umlaut.
Yeah. How do you say it?
Gödel.
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 It's
Gödel.
like people that say Van Gogh, and then no, it's really Van Gogh. I'm like, excuse you.
But he developed a working model, but it just required something like the size of the solar system.
No, you're right. I don't know how you know that. But yeah, he had a rotating cosmos where you could have what are called world lines. You could have just like you could walk around the surface of the Earth, and if you go in the same direction, eventually you'll come back to where you started. If the universe was somehow rotating in the way that he envisioned it, you could have it end up on a time start where you began from the beginning. Yeah, see that traveler's life like time like curve.
Wild.
Gödel's interesting because he and Einstein were buddies back at the Institute for Advanced Study, like Oppenheimer. I don't know if you saw Oppenheimer, but
I haven't seen it yet.
You should see it.
I don't go to the movies. I do go to the movies. I saw Barbie.
Yeah, did it? Your girls drive you there?
Yeah.
My girls are not old enough to drive you there.
It's fun.
I want to say my friend Ben Shapiro, your former guest, he hated it.
I don't understand Ben. He needs to fucking have a sit down with me about
chill
this.
Chill out about that. Maybe he'll come.
Everything's a goddamn culture war.
I know. That's what I love about astronomy. No one ever freaking wakes up and says, "See that comet over there? That's a Republican. There's a Democrat astronaut." No, screw that.
It makes you're studying things that are so immense and so spectacular that it makes all this stuff seem like nonsense. Stuff that people fill their days up with complaining about. A fucking Barbie movie. Jesus Christ. I mean, it would be like someone who's a pacifist reviewing the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Exactly.
And saying they hit each other too much. Like, that's what it's for.
There's a joke about Einstein goes to heaven, and somebody comes up to him and says, "Oh, you're Albert Einstein, you're great. I can't wait to talk to you." And Einstein says, "First, you must tell me your IQ." And he goes, the guy goes, "I have 140 IQ. Oh, we could talk about the math and string theory and this and that." And then another guy comes up, "Oh, what's your IQ?" It's 130. "Oh, we could talk about the stock market, and we can talk about all these, financial, and then someone comes, "I have 100 IQ.